Hey guys, this is Andy McCann with CrossFit Garage, here to help you lay a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finances. And today we're going to go over two things. One, competitive sports, is it worth it? And then two, credit card fees. Actually, I may make that a separate podcast, so we'll see. But anyway, we're going to talk about competitive sports and how to help your kid out and how to help you out and maybe what you shouldn't be doing or should be doing in this whole environment in competitive sports. So, spoiler, is it worth it? No, but maybe. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. Let me give you a backdrop. So I've got 4 kids. We did gymnastics starting out. So I had kids going to North Metro Gymnastics, which is actually over by the gym. And the lady there, I can't remember her name, Tina. I'm just going to call her Tina. I don't know her name. But my kids are in class. And then I notice some of the kids in their classes move up. So I don't remember the levels. Let's say we're in level 1 and they move up to level 2. They're going to different days. It's a little bit longer, whatever. And so I asked Tina, I'm like, hey, I just noticed that everybody moved up, or almost everybody moved up, but there's a select group of kids that basically can't move very well, that are still in the same level. And so I asked her, I was like, is this something that I should be concerned with? Or, is this okay or right or whatever? And she said, Andy, your kids will never amount to anything in gymnastics. So if you're happy with them staying in level 1 or the easy one, that's great. We're going to teach them how to move, but they are not going to be competitive or performers. And I said, thank you. Now you may think, dude, that is harsh. I can't believe she said that. That is the best thing. A no is way better than a misleading yes or a maybe. Just tell me no. So she said, no, your kids aren't going to make it. They're not talented. I'm like, thank you for telling me and being honest with me, not just taking my money. I appreciate it. The answer is it saved me tons of time in that environment, right? And in a lie. And not that I wanted them to excel. I just didn't really know what was supposed to happen. I had never done gymnastics. I probably should have. I'm pretty, I can move in those weird ways, but, and I'm not very strong. So give me the circus tricks any day. Anyway, we then found soccer. So we played a lot at Cherokee Impact and then NASA and, SSA and Concord Fire. And anyway, so the kids moved around a bit and they played club sports. Is it worth playing club sports? It depends. First, I got to say is if your goal is for your kids to live a life that you didn't live, then the answer is no, you're being a dumbass and stop pushing shit on your kids. If you don't have kids yet, you don't get it. You'll see. I tried to do a little bit of that. I had my kids, my boys do wrestling and I should link some of the videos. If you go into, if you're on YouTube, go to my channel and type in Levi wrestling or Evan wrestling. You're going to see like a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old trying to wrestle. And it's adorable and it's funny. If you've wrestled, you're going to laugh. If you've never wrestled, you're just going to think, oh, it's adorable, right? So I wrestled through high school. I loved it. I thought I couldn't wait for my kids to get into wrestling. And I know girls can wrestle too, whatever. But I was looking forward to it. I heard the River Ridge Ranger, or River Ridge, whatever, the Junior Knights, that's it. Junior Knights at River Ridge had a program for youth to learn how to wrestle. So I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Let's give it a shot. Took my boys there. They're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, well, let's just give it a whirl and see how it goes. Well, I think we did it for 1 year, maybe 2. I think it might have just been 1. Anyway, learned a couple things. One, Levi hates to have people in his face. So if he tied up, he would routinely pull people on top and pin himself. And weirdly, Levi, Olivia, and my wife don't like people in their face. And I was like, interesting. I thought it was just a Verity thing, but it turns out it's a genetic thing. There are 3 people in my family that just don't like people in their face. And I get it. There are people out there that don't like that, right? Not me. I love hugs. And so get in my face. On the other side, I learned that Evan, while he was growing fast, he got tall quickly. His muscle development wasn't really keeping up. And so when he got on the down position, people could or kids could just push him down and just hold him down with an arm. And he had a really hard time getting up. So his muscle strength wasn't there. But to his credit, I will tell you, both of them had something kind of funny like that. But this is my, I guess, the joy that I had was in coaching them through some of those struggles. So Levi didn't like to tie up because he would then pin himself. So we did a tournament and I said, all you're going to do is let them shoot in on you. You're going to sprawl, basically push their face into the mat, spin around, get control. You'll get your 2 points and then let them go. And as long as you keep circling, they're never going to call a stall on you. And he's like, okay. He ends up winning a tournament doing that. And all the other coaches, for the dad coaches, were looking at me like, seriously, dude? I'm like, whatever. He's going to win this crap because we learn how to fight his weakness. And that's kind of what we do here at CrossFit. We fight the weakness, right? Anyway, CrossFit exposes those weaknesses and we go fix it, whether it's mobility, strength, or dexterity. Anyway, Evan, while he wasn't very strong, he was very capable with his movements. So in this one match, he actually ended up getting a kid and an angel. And I can't really explain it to you, but essentially he had him in like, I don't know, he was like, think of a pro wrestler just slamming a dude, but being on top and tying him up crazy. He had him down and pinned this kid in an angel as a 6-year-old. Who does that? That was incredible. I don't think he won the tournament, but I mean, that was talked about that day at least all day. Did you see that kid that did the angel? And I'm like, that was my kid. Anyway, it was pretty cool. Okay, so was it worth it? Yeah, it was worth it. We learned something. We did not stick with it. I learned do not project my own sports enthusiasm onto my kids who probably could care less, right? So I'm going to see if I can find the River Ridge, well, whatever. It's River Ridge Night. You can look it up. Okay, so then we moved into soccer. We played a lot of Cherokee Impact. We were there for a long time. I ended up stepping in to do some coaching because I like to coach, and there was a spot, and I hate bringing problems without a solution. So I said, hey, there's an issue, and other parents are saying, hey, there's an issue, and they're like, well, what's your solution? I'm like, well, if you need an extra coach, I'm willing to go get licenses and learn it all and step in. And so I did. It was fun. It was good for me, and probably not the best when I coached my own kids' teams, but I think I treated them too unfairly. In my bid to be more fair, I ended up treating my own kid unfairly. So I actually had a parent come to me and say, hey, you need to stop pulling out your own kid to make the playtime even because your kid is really good. Leave your kid in there. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. So, yeah, I probably did him a little bit of damage. It was still fun. Anyway. Was it worth it? Yeah, we'll go down that road. I think here is the easy answer for you guys. If you think my kid's going pro, there's a combination of genetics and motivation that have to come together. And the way you can really tell is when parents are out there going, wow, look at that kid. That kid is phenomenal. A step above everybody. And everyone's talking about that one kid, whoever it is. Your team, their team, it doesn't matter. A whole different team in a tournament, whatever. If people are talking about that kid, then yes, that kid has a chance. If nobody's talking about your kid has no chance whatsoever. It's not going to happen. You are the only one that thinks your kid's the best. If you have to go to the coach and say, why isn't my kid playing more? They're the best on the team. Your kid is definitely not the best on the team, and stop bothering your coach. That is just mom and dad, that's parent talking. Having been there and seen it, it's a real thing. It's super bothersome. You have to find, well, one, I mean, why do you want your kids to go pro? Is it fame? Is it your ego, their ego? Is it money? The chances to make money are so small in pros based on the number of people who are trying to go do that. It'd be better for them just to get a college education and then go make money that way. Teach them to not spend money and to save, right? Okay, so the next one is I want to play D1 sports. I want them to go to UGA and be the most awesome, we're just going to keep with soccer because that's what I know, soccer player. I know it doesn't pay well, but whatever. And they're going to get a scholarship. One, I would say, if you're in Georgia, you got Zell Miller and the Hope Scholarship. Teach them to do well and keep their grades up. They can even have on-level classes. It doesn't matter. They don't care if it's honors or AP or DE. It's just what's your GPA. And then go to college and get a degree that matters. Please do not get a dumbass degree like basket weaving. Get a degree that has money that'll be paid to you. Tell your kid that, right? Anyway, okay. So they get to go to school for mostly for free. Now, if you're thinking I can't even afford that and I need more help, then yeah, sure, sports. But I would pick a sport that maybe not as many people play. Like there are lady golf scholarships, or there could be frisbee golf scholarships. I don't know. I'm making that one up. Could be pickleball scholarships. I don't know. But I think I would also pick a sport if I was going to put a kid in it that has a lasting effect, like tennis. I mean, people still play tennis. People move tennis to pickleball, right? Nobody breaks out into a soccer game or a football game, not at 50, but pickleball, yeah. So pick something that maybe lasts. Now, scholarships can be a bit tough. You can do something like fencing and get a scholarship. Maybe slide towards the unique if you need the scholarship, but realize doing a college sport is a lot of work. You don't just get to go and be like, they get freebie. It's like having an extra 3 classes and a lot of demanding, and it changes what college is. It's not the same environment, which can be okay. And some kids need that. They need more structure, but just realize they're not going to get the same, experience, which again can be okay. So if they're not going to go to a named school to go pro and all that, and then you're thinking, well, I'll just go to a lesser school. I don't know why. Why would you send your kid? I mean, do they really love playing? There's got to be an end to the sport eventually. I would say let them end on their own terms, not when the coach cuts them or they quit making teams because they fail out. I mean, let them talk about it. But again, that's me, and having 4 kids experience it. I'll give you their kind of journey, and I mean, maybe it'll resonate, maybe it won't. Okay, so for, I don't know, let me pick a school that would be, what's a school that's not really well known? Oglethorpe College. How about that? It's a nice college just up north of us. They've got a pretty good soccer team, but who knows them? I don't know. A lot of the impact coaches have actually came from Oglethorpe. I don't know anybody besides them that knows anything about it. So if you're going to go to Oglethorpe to play soccer, the future is very bleak. If you're going to get a degree from there in basket weaving, then you've doubled down on stupid. And I just think that's the wrong choice. Don't force your kids to do it. Now, if your kid loves it and they want to make a career of it, like what career are they going to make out of soccer? Being a club director, those jobs are few and far between. Making money as a coach is really tough. I mean, I did it as a side thing as a dad, and I actually told him, don't pay me because that's ridiculous. The amount of money that I'm making per hour is stupid low, especially because I spent way more time doing things. Don't pay me. Just keep it. It's you do it for passion. There's no money in it. Okay. So, what would you do? Like, why even get into it? Now, here's what I would say that does come out of competitive sports. It is a false world that has no real downside, but feels like it does when there's failure. So I love it. It's a false failure. If I don't make the team, if I don't make tryouts, what happens? Absolutely nothing. You just don't make the team or whatever. Life goes on. But it's impactful. And what do your kids learn from that? This is what I would take out of those club sports. So Olivia goes to try out for club soccer. The entire team moved to another club. So there was 8 girls that showed up. It's a 7v7 for that age group. The coach said, hey, every one of you made it. Let's do this thing. So she had an easy time. Tryouts were no problem, whatever. Evan tried out multiple times, season after season, and the coaches kept cutting him. He worked his ass off to get the skills to be able to finally make the team, to eventually become one of the most valuable players on the team. Then Levi got cut as well. They're like, he's too fat and small and slow, and he's never going to amount to anything in soccer. Turns out, he says, you know what? Screw you. I am going to learn to juggle. He made the team eventually. And then he spent, was it the first season? It was just like nothing special. He was on like the C team, the worst team. Then he said, you know what, Dad? I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to learn to juggle because I hear that's good. And I've been telling kids forever, go juggle. It'll help you. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go juggle. He spent the summer juggling. He could juggle for he probably could juggle and never stop, but he would usually go for 15 minutes nonstop. And it wasn't that small tappity tap, like just on your foot. He would knock it up, bounce it off his head, off his shoulder, off his knee and stuff. He would just move it around and chase it down. And he'd always keep it going. So he made it tough on himself, hit it really high, all that stuff. He came back the next season, and I'm going to try to explain what he did. I wish I had a video of it, but he was near the penalty box. A kid passes it across the box. Well, they're kind of further out from the box, but anyway, near that. Passes it over to him. He sees the forward running into the goal. So he is facing the passer. It's coming at him. He catches it with his right foot, scoops it, swings it behind him in a kind of like a trapping passing scoop right to where the forward was running. The forward taps it in for a goal. And everyone was like, what the hell was that? It was phenomenal. And from that point on, they're like, what did he do? What happened? And they started noticing all the stuff he would do on the field. I was like, man, he just spent a whole summer. I mean, I used a joke from that movie, Central Intelligence, with The Rock and Kevin Hart. I said, it's easy. Anybody can do it. He just spent 8 hours a day, 7 days a week over the summer, 2 months, juggling. So they're like, yeah, my kid's not going to do that. So that was something phenomenal, right? He had that desire. Evie, same thing. She went through tryouts. She moved up in the team. She moved left. She moved right. She tried different clubs. Her claim to fame was she learned to juggle. And so they learned the thing was, if I really want it, I have to dive into it. So was it worth it? Man, I think the answer is yes. For my kids, that aspect of learning that lesson was worth it. Was it worth the amount of money I spent? Maybe not. So I had 4 kids playing club soccer. It's roughly $2,000 a year. And they played for about 10 years. So 8 times 10 times 2, that's $80,000 that I spent over the course of 20 years. The weird thing is what is it? I think it's Parkinson's law. You'll spend your money or the extra and you'll never notice it. You're going to eat everything on your plate. So your needs grow to consume what's available. And it did. And so I didn't notice spending the money. I do notice now that they're done, I've saved some of that money, right? Same thing with like sending them to a private school as they as they graduate and they get the Hope Scholarship. I'm like, wow, we are saving a ton of money. Anyway, so was it worth it? Yes, in that aspect. Now, here's the thing that you don't know. Parents, you're thinking, well, I really want them to play high school sports. And they're never going to play a high school sport unless they play club or travel or whatever. And that's actually probably true. But here's the thing you don't know. You don't know what the coach is like. You don't know what the coach is looking for. You don't know who else is coming to the team. You could, let's say Cherokee Impact is right over by Sequoia High School. So Sequoia High School is going to have an abnormal number of kids that play club sports, right? Well, club soccer. So when your kid gets there and they're like, hey, I played pretty good soccer. Well, so does everyone else on the team. Even all the JV players are really damn awesome. So are they going to play varsity? Are they going to play JV? I don't know. You may even find a coach. It's like Georgia Tech's football. We're going to do triple pitch. What the hell is that and why are we doing it? And so they drop out of fame. In 1991, they won the ACC championship and then nobody ever heard from him again. So you may have a coach that Cam, if you're listening to this, I can't believe I remembered that. But anyway, I am not a sports enthusiast. You don't know what the coach is going to be like. You may have a coach that just literally doesn't like your kid and there's nothing you can do about it. I have heard from kids or parents that went to River Ridge. If a parent talks to the coach in any way, shape, or form, email, verbal, or anything, their kid is immediately ejected from the team. There's probably a reason for that because parents got crazy. And as a coach, man, parents get crazy. The worst thing is when a parent comes up and says, my kid is the best kid on the team. Why isn't she playing? Well, if she was the best kid on the team, she'd be playing. So there should be an easy answer there. But parents don't see it. They just see their love and they're like, I love my kid. Oh, great. I'm glad you love your kid. Thing here is you don't know what the high school sport is going to be like. The high school sport, the coach could be one way, the team could be another way. You just don't know. So I forced Olivia to play and I said, hey, you got to do something. She's like, fine, I'll play soccer. They were in the state championship and they're playing a team that was also in the state championship. So what do you get when you have 2 teams in the state championship? Pretty damn good teams. Olivia was not the fastest, but she had pretty good foot control. She was playing defense. She was, left defense. So what is that? Number 2, whatever. She was back there, right? They found that, hey, if I put this one fast girl right here, they could get around Olivia as long as she kicked the ball hard and then ran. Olivia could probably check her stopper, but if she missed, the girl could get around and it could be open. Her 3 and 4, the other 2 back girls, or maybe it's 5 and 6, whatever, the 2 middle defenders weren't covering, so there wasn't great communication. So they found a breakdown. Olivia's not that fast. There wasn't great communication. They could put a fast girl right there and kind of cherry pick it. The last game of the last season, we are losing something like 6-0, not because of Olivia, but they did find that out, and so they scored twice. Coach pulls Olivia, puts in some girl that's never played just because she's fast. Nothing changes, but Olivia hears the lesson. You're not good enough. I can't coach you to fix it. It's the last game. They're beating us, and you suck. Get out of there. I think the coach even said something derogatory to her, right? So she ends up finishing. I mean, it was actually pretty good. They made it through the state season, but she remembers that out of everything. Yeah, not a great life lesson. Next one, Evan. He's playing for the same high school team, same coach. And they go down to, I don't know if it was in the state tournament, but it was another game. They went down to penalty kicks. Evan's a defender. He doesn't do penalty kicks. He never practices them. He never does them, whatever. The first 5 guys kick, it's tied. They bring up the next 5 guys. Evan is man 10 before the goalie's going to get to do it, right? And it comes down to him because everyone else has missed. He shoots, the goalie stops it, and they lose. Is it his fault? I mean, no, there was 9 other guys that have a better chance of making it that didn't make it. So is it his fault? No, there was 90 minutes of a soccer game where anybody could have scored anything else, right? Was it his fault? No, and he walked away, and I love this. He said, Dad, I did the best I could. It just didn't work out. I don't think I could have done anything different. It sucks that it came down to that, but them's the breaks. I'm like, damn, that is mighty adult of you, and I don't think many of us adults would actually handle that like you did. Super proud of him. Super proud of my daughter for handling it too. She doesn't care anymore, but at the time it really hurt, but she learned a valuable lesson. Super proud of him for learning that lesson. Both of them had a similar experience with that coach. You think I would learn my lesson? Next kid is in the similar situation, playing for high school. They're playing. They play a lot. He has a large team and has JV, but doesn't ever play JV games and doesn't play the extra player. So 11 players play the whole time, and he would yell, hey, why are you so tired? You need to keep running. And we're like, how about use some of your subs? Anyway, Levi's out there in the state game. I can tell immediately that the other team is going to kick our ass because the guys, the subs on the side are all juggling the entire half. And then at halftime, he subs in the scrubs. I'm like, oh, damn, we're going to lose big. And everyone else was thinking, oh, he subbed in the scrubs. This is going to be easy. I'm like, now we're going to lose even worse because these kids are fresh and have something to prove. Sure enough, we lost big time. And there's the lawnmower because life is real. So the coach, afterwards, I asked Levi what happened. The coach said, I need you to hit that kid. He's like, Coach, I don't play hit. I play pass and finesse. Plus, I don't think hitting him is going to do anything. So he said, fine, you're out. I'm going to put in Bruno, the thug. So I watched, and I was like, let's see what Bruno does. Bruno tried to hit people, but he was too slow. He was very big, but they could just get out of his way. Never touched the ball once. It didn't change a damn thing about the game. We were losing. We were going to lose. Pulling Levi out and doing that was just like a coach trying to figure out how do I fix it, but then didn't fix anything. It was just horrible. It was a horrible way to end. Anyway, Evan gets accepted into UGA as a fall senior. His soccer season's coming up, and he's like, Dad, I'm already accepted into UGA. I don't really care for the coach or the team, and I'd rather hang out with my friends. I think I'm not going to do soccer. I'm like, well, let's end it on your own terms. Good job. Levi says the same thing. He's like, hey, it didn't really go the way I want. I got 3 years or 2 years, whatever it was, of high school soccer under my belt. I'm going to do something different. I'm like, okay, sounds good to me. He quit on his own terms. Evie, same thing. She's going to the same high school. We've learned our lesson. I'm like, we already know what's going to happen. They're going to take 27 kids for the varsity team, not have a JV, but say they will, and you'll travel all the way around doing these soccer games you don't get to play in because they don't play subs. So she said, you know what? I'm just going to do cross country. I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. She wasn't on the team. A bunch of people are upset and complaining, but whatever. Is it the coach's fault? Man, I don't know. I don't know what pressure he's under. Excuse me. I won't edit that out. That is life. That's coffee coming back up. He's under pressure to win. Coaches get paid to win, and so he wants to win. I can't fault him for trying. I would probably do stuff different or tell the parents to be more honest with them, but, I don't know. It's not my deal. I am not going to backseat coach the coach when I don't know all the pressure and circumstances are under, right? So it is what it is. We understood what it was. We made our choices. Here's the thing that I would say. Is it worth it to go to college under soccer with a soccer scholarship, all that for my kids? No. To learn the lesson that is valuable for the rest of their life, I'm going to tell you, yes, that is exactly what it is. I think that lesson is super valuable. Weirdly, we can make some translations into, hey, why do we do CrossFit? Well, CrossFit exposes your weaknesses, and your coach is there to help you grow those. Some coaches are different than others. I got an email from Kirby Branquillo, who moved to North Carolina. I love this. Many times when you're in a business, you catch complaints because people want it to be better and they love it and there's passion. And I'm okay with that. Give me the complaints. But also remember to thank, because we don't get many of those. It's usually only when someone leaves and they realize that something is different. So Kirby is up in North Carolina and he says, hey, I've been involved in a gym for about a year and it is not like what we had back then. You guys cared, you had compassion, you had community, you coached, all these things. He's like, I just don't get this here and I'm trying, but I don't get it. Kirby, thank you so much. We don't get very many letters of thank you. When we do, they're very heartfelt, and I know people think about it, but I'm guilty of it too. I don't always say thank you. Actually, I made a point whenever my kids were on teams after being a coach to tell the coach thank you, and I'd always give them a birthday card or a Christmas card or whatever, or end of season card, and I'd put extra money in it because I know the pay is light, right? But I would always thank them because in this case, I really did know what it was like to coach those things. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate those responses back. The coaches are trying to build you up in a way that's communicative. So we're talking to you and lifting you up through the weakness. What are your weaknesses? I mean, there's a lot of guys with mobility issues. Yeah, we talk about that. Do we stretch? Yes. Do we activate? We mobilize? Yes. After the workout, do we ask you to do stuff? Yes. Why? Because you're loose, right? Are you missing some strength? Great. Come to those workouts. We're going to make sure you have some strength. We're going to lift stuff. Are you missing cardio? Great. We're going to do some of the cardio things. This is what CrossFit is. It's a fitness across a broad time and modal domain. So the time domains are usually 8 to 12 minutes. Could be shorter, could be longer. And the movements are basically anything that's kind of common, right? There's some weird ones we'll do, like a handstand push-up. You're probably not going to do that very often. I shy away from that. Anyway, going back to competitive sports, is it worth it? It depends what you're trying to get out of it. I would definitely not push your kid into doing something. Now, I know that because we did these things, we chose soccer. We sacrificed skill. They say, oh, you throw like a girl. Just because dads, you're dumbasses, you don't go out and throw a ball with your daughter. Go throw a ball with her. She won't throw like that. It's just reps and practice. If you take any European and you say, here's a baseball, throw it to me, they throw weird too because they don't throw the ball. It's not you throw like a girl. You throw like someone who doesn't have reps. Just go get the reps. You can do it. So Evie was tossing the ball back to me, and it looked kind of weird because she doesn't do that. Now, if I said, hey, pass that ball to me with your feet, she would have done it. Her on a scale of 1 to 10, her foot skills are like a 10 for an American. Now, for like a European, she'd be a 5. But her hand skills are like a 3 because we just didn't do that much. We didn't prioritize it. So what? That's just what we did. We chose and we sacrificed. That will happen. I wish we could go back to the days where you played a bunch of sports, and then when you got to high school or competitive or whatever, the best was chosen, but you could narrow down, and the okay can become way better just by narrowing down. And so it skews things. Now, I'm going to say that because of this. Rich Froning won the CrossFit Games multiple times. He's a total badass in the world of CrossFit. If you don't know him, then, well, go look him up. He's awesome. He's humble. I mean, this guy, he is the package. He's awesome. He won the CrossFit Games multiple times. He won the teams multiple times. And so he was on a podcast and they were talking. The guy said, hey, how much of this do you think is genetics? He said, hey, I have 16 cousins. They're all just like me. And one of them, Daryl, is even more ripped. And all he does is farm work, something like that. Basically saying genetics is a huge part of it. Don't harsh on your kid if they can't get there. You gave them those genes. Now, they said, well, why didn't Daryl go to do CrossFit? Because he wasn't motivated. He didn't care. There's the other part. They need genetics. They need the motivation. Does it mean your kid can't be good if they don't have the genetics? No. But if you listen to the other podcast with Josh Stidham, he's like 7 feet tall. And guess what sport he chose? No, not basketball. He chose baseball. Because of his angular acceleration, the ball came out of his hand on a fastball super damn fast. And his baseball coach was happy. But who was pissed? His basketball coach. The basketball coach was like, dude, come play for me. You're 7 feet tall. Actually, he's like 6'7", but he's tall. You should be playing basketball. And he's like, nah, I like baseball. Where is your passion at? Yeah, I mean, that's going to matter, right? Hey, way to go too. Also, Josh, hitting a sub 7 minute on an 800 meter row. What? That was incredible. And Meredith, I think she did like 801 on the 800 meter row. That's stellar. Anyway, okay. So what would I pick if I had to go back? I might put my kids more into tennis so they can play pickleball, or I'd push them into Rocket League, which is a video game where cars play soccer because it's transferable. My brother still plays that. My boys still play. So I don't know. I'm kind of joking there, but I think I would aim towards that. We had a choice a long time ago. It was going to be either they do Boy Scouts or they do sports. And I'm like, you know what? Because I've got boys and girls, I can't do scouts the whole time. It's just too hard to make Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts work. So let's just pick soccer. I made that choice. Why? It was just convenience. Is it worth getting an Eagle Scout or the equivalent in the Girl Scout? Man, I don't know. I didn't do that. But what lessons are they learning? I would probably say yes, because I'm watching Justin's son Aiden do this. And if I break my arm out in the wilderness, he could set me up in a splint and make sure I don't die. So I don't know. Is that valuable? It's probably not going to happen that often, although we are in the woods a lot. But it's a better skill than I can juggle for 15 minutes. He can pitch a tent. He can make a fire. He can cook raw meat over a campfire. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. Is it useful? Man, I don't know. I enjoyed camping with my kids when they were young. I'd like to bring it back, but the timing is weird. So who knows, right? I think what you really need to do in all this is determine, or sit down with someone that's gone before with you and determine, why do you give a shit about this stuff? Why does it matter? I want my kid to be really good in soccer. Why? because my ego says so. I mean, that happens in the gym a lot. I've had several guys say, hey, I love that you're putting this intended stimulus or coach's notes up there because it helps me understand. I'm not supposed to do 185-pound overhead. It's the stimulus to aim for, but I really, really, really want to click RX. But RX doesn't mean anything. Why are you here? You're not here to click RX. You're not here to bro out. You're here to be harder to kill. Listen to that other episode. Become harder to kill. Make your numbers, your heartbeat, your cholesterol, all that stuff go down by exercising and eating right and showing up. Rule number 1, show up. Rule number 2, don't do anything stupid to prevent yourself from showing up. Rule number 3, I don't know, there's like 10 things that are vying for rule number 3. I don't have a rule number 3 yet. So do the thing, sit down, talk to your kid, talk to your spouse, talk to someone that's gone before. Could be your parent. It could be me. I've spent the time in these sports. Of course, you know my answer is probably from listening to this podcast right here or the YouTube cast or whatever. But figure out why you're doing it, and then understand those milestones. For me, it was I had heard that. I don't remember exactly the storyline, but just bear with me. I'm going to butcher it, but. The guys that were like the oil tycoons and the steel tycoons, Rockefeller and all those guys, their backstory is I was abandoned as a child and grew up in an orphanage, and then I created Carnegie Steel or whatever, right? And so their backdrop story is rough and tumbled, and it grew them. I would like my kid to have a backstory that's tough, but doesn't really have like, well, my parents were dead because I'm the parent and I'd like to stay alive. And I don't really want them to be like, and I lived in a cardboard box, but I want to give them the feeling of, hey, there's some roughness to your life and I want you to grow through that. How do I do that? That was sports. Because we live a pretty good life. We have a membership to, I own the CrossFit garage, but we have a membership to a gym, right? So we have a pretty good life. We can afford that. Do you need to be at a gym? No, you can go outside and just do stuff, right? But I wanted them to have those lessons with a guide, kind of like what you're getting now, so that they could overcome. Now, the sad part was sometimes they chose, I don't want to overcome. As a 50-year-old man, I could say, I think I could help you with this, and I would do this. But that's what I would do. What would they do? Evan and Levi had a great conversation with me about the soccer team dynamics are not what I thought it would be. We're at a Christian school. I thought everyone would be more build you up, but it's actually more tear you down. And nobody's stopping it. I was like, why don't you step up and stop it? And they're like, because I just don't care. I'm like, okay. Well, you don't care. They don't care. It's never going to end. What are you going to do? They're like, yeah, I think I'm just going to bail out. I've gotten out what I need to get out of it, and I'm done. I'm like, okay. They made a choice. I would love for them to have stood up and done something about it, but that's me. Why? Yes, I want to project success on them, but not at my path. Their path is different. And I'm only going to do it because I'm a 50-year-old man. I know that high school doesn't matter. And screw little Timmy. If he's going to make fun of you or try to come after you, whatever, right? Take him down. I guess in these days, nobody gets into fights like that anymore. But man, in the 80s, they came after you. Faces were going into pavement, right? Anyway, let them learn the lessons, but don't push them into your narrative, right? Let them have their own story. I do like the fact that sports gives that artificial hardness, right? But I don't think if you're looking to the future of my kid is the best of the best, he's going pro, I think you probably missed it. If you're not sure, man, I will come out to your kid's sporting event and I will give you an honest assessment. I've coached a lot of stuff. I can tell immediately, probably within the first 10 or 15 minutes of whatever game we're doing, if your kid is that kid. Probably just asking some parents, hey, is Mikey's kid Timmy the best? No. Mikey thinks he is. Yeah, Mikey's a dumbass. Okay, it's just you. I would be happy to tell you that. Pros, probably not going to happen. D1 sports, probably not going to happen. If you're looking for a scholarship, man, the Hope Scholarship. So I don't know if other states do these things. Hope and Zell Miller are fantastic. I think for UGA, I'm paying $1,500 for Evan to go to UGA in school fees. Now there still is room and board, but that's for school. For Olivia, who's out of state, it's $15,000, totally different. So stay in state, use the Hope Scholarship. All right, guys, hopefully that gave you some idea on what you can do. I know I mentioned credit card fees. I'm going to do that in a different podcast. So this one's already 33 minutes long, so there'll be maybe 2 back to back. All right, guys, hey, this is Andy McCann here at CrossFit Garage. I'm going to change the name of the podcast soon. I don't know what I'm going to pick. I've got like 10 names, and none of them really ring out to me, but it probably shouldn't be called the name of the gym. It should be Andy McCann from CrossFit Garage here with Foundry, where we lay a firm foundation in fitness, food, and finances or something. I don't know yet. All right, guys, take care. If you need me, you can find me, Andy at CrossFitGarage.com.